Okay, so what's not breaking news is the Colts are currently in the midst of taking an L to the Ravens in their first preseason game. But what may be, I guess, broken news at this point, Anthony Richardson goes down in the second drive with what appears to be a broken finger to me. At the very least, it's dislocated. And I'll be honest, I kind of looked away because I'm pussy when it comes to injuries, but bad news nonetheless. Uh, I don't want to, how do I put this? I don't want this to be an indictment on Anthony Richardson, the person, but it's time we actually have the conversation about Anthony Richardson. And we probably should have had it before this. And we've crept up to that line, or at least let me personalize this. I have crept up to that line of having this conversation numerous times, and it's to the point that I'm just there with it. You know, everybody growing up, like, you had your friend group, right? And you had that one friend that, like, everybody pretty much knows if it's left up to him, he gonna find a way to mess this thing up. And while getting injured tonight, that injury wasn't his fault. It's not like he was holding the ball too long. He didn't even see it coming from his right side. Like, this injury, I guess, aside, it's more of the overall stigma surrounding Anthony Richardson and the Colts pretty much since 2019 is just when you think it's going to go wrong. Yeah, dog, it's going to go wrong. Let me share some fun knowledge for people out there that may not keep up with the Colts and may have just, not been paying attention as time has passed and quarterback after quarterback after quarterback has lined up under center for the Colts. So Andrew Luck retired in 2019. Since then, Colts quarterbacks have always ranked in the very bottom for quarterback efficiency. I mean, we have tried it out there. Jacoby Brissett, couple old dudes, like really, really old dudes, Matt Ryan. Like, it's pretty much been quarterback by committee, as if you can run an NFL organization by trying to find value or save money at your most important position. You just can't do that. A couple years ago, that was one of my breaking points, as like, I was on the fringe of being able to say, I am a Colts fan. I have lived in this city for long enough now. I'm ready to fully commit. But I could never fully commit because the Colts could never fully commit to winning. And fully committing to winning is saying, you know what? We have to get a franchise quarterback. And we need to be all in on doing whatever it is that we have to do that. I'll say this. You at least have to make the attempt to get a franchise quarterback. Like, just swinging and missing sometimes just shows just enough effort for the fan base to stick around. But the Colts really haven't done that. I would say that Anthony Richardson is probably the first actual swing they took at it. And even then, they seemed very, very timid walking into the Anthony Richardson situation. When you think you have a franchise quarterback, you don't gingerly walk into it that way. So that's kind of what told me always that they weren't really thinking that he's the guy. And if you don't feel like he's the guy at that position, you do what you need to do to go get the guy, because that's the one position you cannot save money on. Everything revolves around having not only a competent quarterback, but the type of quarterback that can go out and get you maybe a couple wins that you should not have, right? Those types of guys. And hey, those guys come with a cost because there's just not that many of them. And I'm aware of that. But if there's not that many of them, to appease your fan base at the bare minimum, you have to go out and just really swing and miss at some, not play it the way the Colts have been playing it. And you're going to hit a point where you're going to become unserious as an organization. And I'm starting to take the Colts as like an unserious organization. And here's why. Let's say that Anthony Richardson was that's the big swing and maybe miss. But this is the one we're putting all of our eggs in this basket. We needed this to work. And then we hit the point, maybe last season, where we said, okay, maybe he's not that. Not that he's not serviceable, not that he doesn't have potential, but he's probably just not a franchise quarterback like we need in this organization. So what you do is you decide, okay, is it the injury concerns and the decision making? Well, yes. So we take into account that he's young and he's football young, like quarterback young, as in not a lifer playing this position. So you say, okay, well, there's a possibility that with time and maturity, he can overcome some of those mental errors, right? Then you say, yes, the injuries though, and his style of play. And you say, okay, that one's going to be a little more tricky because part of what makes him super dangerous and great is the fact that he's kind of super dangerous. You never know how a play is going to end. He doesn't quite know how to slide. He doesn't actually get out of bounds. It's a risk every time he takes off with the football. Those types of plays sometimes will win you games or put you in positions to win games that you had no business being in. So I do understand taking the chance on Anthony Richardson. And I don't want to make it seem like I am criticizing the Colts for doing that. It's just once you made the decision, and I believe that decision was made last year with the benching and everything else, we made the decision that he's not going to be the franchise guy, but he is who we have right now on a fairly decent price, right? So let's get what we can get value-wise out of him and see if we can put something together. Because if the NFL has shown us anything, a team can get hot and you might just get put something together at the right time, you know? And so to shore up the back end of that, what does this look like if we only have him for 6 games? The Colts decided that they were back in the quarterback business. This is where you would think, hey, let's go out and find a veteran quarterback that I'm not going to say is the opposite of what he is, but plays a style of football that is A, sustainable, and B, enough to let our playmakers make plays. And don't get me wrong, the Colts have playmakers. Michael Pittman, you've got Downs, Alec Pierce, this new Warren kid at tight end. They've got some playmakers. So what you want is a quarterback that's going to get your playmakers opportunities to make plays and not fuck it up by doing something crazy, right? So that is serviceable. That is something that's out there. That is what a quality backup is. But the Colts go and do what? They go and sign Daniel Jones, who also, if I had to give a synopsis on him as a quarterback, is potential. Arm strength probably sitting somewhere around Anthony Richardson's, maybe a little bit less. Super athletic for a quarterback, but maybe not quite as athletic as Anthony Richardson. Biggest knock on him, doesn't always make the best decisions with the football. Well, that's the same thing you got now in Anthony Richardson, right? So we're going to go from one train wreck to another train wreck. Where's the planning in that? And I'm not trying to be dramatic or, talk down on Daniel Jones, but the facts are the facts. And here's a fun one for you. Since 2019, actually, Daniel Jones has the absolute lowest touchdown percentage of any quarterback in the NFL during that time period over their last 1,000 throws. He is at 3.1%. He barely beats out the number 2 guy that was at 3.2%. You want to know who that guy was? Another Colts Band-Aid together quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, who we did have some exciting times with Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett was a really good backup quarterback that was forced to be a starter when you just really want that guy as a good backup quarterback. You know what I mean? We were asking him to do more than what he was probably even capable of doing. But the numbers are the numbers, and that's kind of where it's been at. That's where it's been at for the Colts for, 6 years into this now? So it's like, what gives? What gives? I think Anthony Richardson is probably a nice guy. I think Daniel Jones is probably a nice guy. And I fully fucking believe that both of them want to be great football players. I know he's not going out here getting hurt on purpose. I know Daniel Jones is not going to just drop the fucking football in the middle of the field on purpose. But these are the things that happen. It's the first game of the preseason. And we already have Anthony Richardson is out for the game notification and a Daniel Jones sighting that, he didn't play terrible. I think he completed 10 passes, like 144 yards, something like that. It's not terrible. I'll tell you this. Let me give some positive on the Colts here. I like Riley Leonard. And I know I say that as like it's probably going to come off like, not respectable, but I really do. He's the type of person you want to root for, right? It's Riley Leonard time right now, and that was a breath of fresh air. Daniel Jones out there looked like he just didn't want to make a mistake. Like, oh, first dude kind of fucked up his debut. Let me just go out here and put some shit together and not make a mistake. So I don't think we didn't really get the full Daniel Jones experience. You know what I mean? Warren at tight end is going to be a problem if we get someone that can throw him the football. He's going to be great. Once all the talent hits the field for the Colts, the offense is there. The defense has the pieces there. But if they don't have a quarterback, 5-12, bro. 5-12. And I think I'm going to give the Colts a year. I'm going to give them a year that I'm not going to be on their necks too much because, rest in peace to the big guy, Jim. Jim passed. It's a transition and like leadership, and I get it. But at some point, we're going to have to say enough is enough. If you want to play winning football in the NFL, you have to invest your resources in a franchise quarterback. And until you do that, you are an unserious franchise. And that's how we're going to treat you.